Alright. I just tried recording a review for New Avengers Everything Dies, and I made like a 10-minute video, and then I realized that my mic wasn't on when I put it on the Movie Maker, so I was like, fuck. So I have to go back and do this again. This is a review for the first volume of New Avengers by Jonathan Hickman with art by Steve Epting. Not really going to talk about the art that much. It's good in here, and it's really consistent, which is probably a plus for this title, is that it has a steady stream of artists on here as the series has unfolded, so that's really the best plus about this series art-wise. As far as the rest of the series goes, or at least this volume, I'm actually going to hold off talking about it because I need to address Hickman's main Avengers book, which has been a major point of a lot of criticism from people. There are two volumes of that book out right now, The Avengers World and The Last White Event. The best thing that I can tell you about those two books right now is that a lot of the problems that people have been complaining about with that book is understandable. Now, I'm still reading past that right now, leading up to Infinity. It's a lot of setup stuff, and I can understand that. But this is also going to be a major contrast in between this and the New Avengers. When the series first started out, it says that there are things that are tying into each other that are going on here. There's kind of some similar sci-fi elements to the story, but there's nothing major that's tying in from either of them right now, which is probably something that won't be brought up until Infinity hits, or which it's actually already hit right now, but it hasn't dealt with the two problems crossing over with each other right now. Basically, the best thing to spell out about Hickman and his writing on Avengers is that he's basically writing Avengers as Gene Roddenberry. And I partly say this because I just came off of the last couple of months of watching, or binge watching, the original series, the original films, and then the first 3 seasons of Next Generation. And going back and rereading this, it makes a lot more sense for the Star Trek comparison because of a lot of the big ideas and the cosmic stuff that's brought in with the Avengers books right now. The Avengers books, besides the fact that they're set up, basically they're talking about a lot of big ideas, but they have a lot of action in there, which is the biggest selling point that Marvel editorial is probably wanting for that book right now. And that's why I draw the comparison to the original Star Trek series with that. New Avengers, however, definitely feels like Next Generation type stuff, and when talk of them exploring morals about the measures that they would go to tackle threats before they happen and keep the Earth safe, there's a lot of dancing around a Prime Directive-like idea, which I really like. There isn't really much in the way of action in this book. Yeah, there are some action scenes, but it's more of monologuing going on between the characters. And there's some really interesting ideas and character conflicts which are unfolding within the characters right now, and some turmoil in the group, which is enough to keep you coming back to this, and really makes Everything Dies the much better starting point for getting into Hickman writing Avengers books right now. Basically what we got going on in this, it's the first 6 issues of that series, and it's basically the Illuminati getting together and talking about tackling threats before they actually can strike the Earth and take care of problems by any means necessary. The Illuminati in this is really not that much different than the Illuminati of the past. If, over the last decade you've been reading them and about how they deal with stuff that, kind of foreshadowed what was leading into World War Hulk or Civil War or Secret Invasion. That's kind of dealing with stuff here. It's setting up, but it's also having stuff actually transpire in the book which is interesting, and is much better saving grace of it than it is with the main Avengers book. With this lineup, we get Black Panther, Captain America, Black Bolt, Namor, Doctor Strange, Reed Richards, Iron Man, and Beast. This group will eventually drop to 7 about halfway through the trade. Basically, the Infinity Gems come into play in this story, and we're trying to tackle the problem of an incursion, which is that the fact that dimensions and alternate and other universes are starting to bleed over into ours or into their universe, and the incursion phenomenon is like there are two Earths that are existing in the same space, and they'll eventually cause each other to be erased unless one takes out the other one and solves that problem. And this is really kind of the moral dilemma for the members of the Illuminati as they try and decide, should we find a solution that would be able to make sure that everybody wins and nobody has to fade away, or are we just going to sit back and let this world be taken out or take it out ourselves in order to save our own asses? And it's some really good discussions that come up in here. Again, with a Star Trek analogy, just think big ideas, but with like kind of with a feel of like intensity for the decisions that you make, kind of like out of the Dark Knight. That's really the sense of urgency in this book. Hickman just really does good with nailing the characters too. And with the way the Illuminati works, we see how they manage to keep the Infinity Gems hidden, and how they make sure that the Illuminati manages to stay secret. We see that with how Beast gets brought into the group. Basically, he's brought in as a replacement for Xavier after he was killed, and we see how they manage to make sure that the group remains secret after Captain America is kicked out is interesting. And we still managed to get to tackle some character consequences from series past. You don't have to know these series, but it kind of explains things to you, and then it just hits the plot running with problems, particularly with the bad blood that exists in between T'Challa and Namor. With the fact that a lot of Wakanda was wiped out by Namor during the AVX stuff, which is really good. And then we get to dealing actually with the planet itself. There's actually kind of a point that's brought up. There's still... Most of this volume is spent gathering Infinity Gems, but they also do manage to have to do something about this Earth, as it's explained to them by this chick who's actually part of a group that goes around destroying planets to make sure that the universe can maintain its balance. She's totally nonchalant about not really giving a shit about whether she saves all of existence or not. She's just, kind of there to fill in the group on what's going on and just be a female presence in the book. And again, with the moral decision-making stuff is brought up when I think it's either the Marvel Universe's Galactus or it's an alternate universe Galactus that shows up to eat the intruding planet upon the 616 universe, which is really interesting. The group is really torn on what to do, and I absolutely love the turmoil that these characters are going through trying to decide this stuff. This is the kind of shit that's actually making Namor break a sweat, which I really like about this. The art's good in here, it's consistent, it's not having to change up artist every issue, so there is that saving grace to it. I'm reviewing this, I'm kind of raving about it. I really have no problems with this book. It just suffice to say that this is probably the best starting place. Read this in order to kind of acquaint yourself for the feel of the main Avengers book. you're just going to have to deal with a lot more characters and a lot more action in there. And that series will probably improve itself once another trade comes out, and then you can just do some straight reading through all 3 volumes. But as it stands for its own book, this is definitely a really good trade. I would recommend giving this a try and just kind of getting a feel for Hickman if you've never read him before. This is a fucking great book. I really have nothing more to say about it.